welcome to the channel. It's Adam at ND72. So today we got my SL55 AMG back in my fancy little garage. Okay, fancy medium. But what we got on the table is some parts that now we're going to start be adding more power and lowering boost. So overall make this car safer and more fun to drive. So as you see on the table, I got a series of a few different little parts that do a few different things, but majority is what's right here in red. So, if you can see what they are surge tanks. Now, do they look like a normal surge tank? No, they got crossover tubes on them. So these are Needswings M113K surge tanks, well, modified surge tanks. So they have a lot of cool features which we're going to be going over today and comparing old to new. So, let's just kind of go over what you get in their surge tank kit. So you get two surge tanks. Now mine are powder coated. I did it myself. They offer thermal coating and all that stuff to them. I just wanted to keep doing my own powder coating just because I think it's fun. And it's just like a medium hobby. It's something that I can just do and keep going back and forth. So I did the coating, but they do the coating. I will say this. They coated my SLK32 ones by far so much of a better job than I did. But it is what it is. I don't think I did too bad. So, what we have over here, what comes in the surge tank kit, you get your surge tanks, you get your very, very high quality silicone pieces that connect them, and then you get your worm gear, basic clamps. And these are also super effing high quality stuff where you could take, I'm not going to tell you to do this, but an impact gun and hit on it and they won't skip. Which if you ever dealt with some of the cheaper ones, they do skip pretty easily. Now, what we also have on this table is what they call their dress-up kit. So what this is all new hardware, all new bolts, stainless steel, and now they're Allens instead of inverted Torx. Because some people have been known to put like a 27 on the head, on the manifolds instead of a 30, and you'll slowly start stripping it. But Needswings give you a full kit of new hardware you can order on their website, relatively cheap. Also, what I got over here is a fuel gauge kit. So I want to put a fuel gauge on my rail like I do with all my other cars just to help monitor stuff. So they have a little kit online over there which is also inexpensive where you get the gauge and then you get all the fittings you need to make it go right on your rail. And it's a good place out of the way. That way you can help monitor your fuel pressure. If you start getting into a lot of modification on that, that's a big thing to have so you know if your pumps are going bad, if you have a clogged filter, or if you just have any issues, it'll help you monitor it. And it's a cheap, inexpensive little part that will save you. I want to say this kit is, for the fuel thing, I'll have to look it up. It's like under 50 bucks. It was something that was like nothing. And then also the kit for the surge tank, what you get is your Teflon caps. Now you're wondering what you might need those for. Right here. Do you see a little bung? So they weld on a bung, and their welds are really of good quality. So you're thinking, Adam, why would I need a bung there? Well, this bung could be used for multiple things. First of all, if you want to spray nitrous in the car, you could spray it through the bung. If you want to do meth, right through the bung. Or what most people do is, like at least what I do, you put a boost gauge. So you literally could thread a standard, I think it's like a 1/8 MPT, go right into there, and then you get your boost. Now, you see I have the driver's side of my hand, and you would think, oh Adam, is there only one bung? No, bung on each side. So, now, what I will say, I've seen people do, and I did this before, which helped me out diagnose a big issue on my SLK. So what I was having before on my SLK32, at one point, which had nothing to do with anyone, it was just literally a faulty part, I was having issue with losing boost. So basically I would go super lean, and I couldn't figure out why. So to help me diagnose and slim it down, it was literally a gasket that got folded over as I installed something. So how I figured out how to figure out what side, because your normal map sensor is so far down on the Y pipe, or it's on the side of the intercooler on the E55s and the M113Ks, but on the SLK, it's more or less the same area, but more close to the Y pipe, so you don't know individual boost levels. So when you have little ports here, you could hit 2 gauges up and help diagnose where you're dropping boost. So also if you have a vacuum leak or something like that, these will super help you out, because then you know you can eliminate, okay, so now I know that I'm not losing any pressure from here over, I'm losing it from here over. So a big thing, and if you want to run nitrous, like I said, you have 2 ports on each side, and you'll get a much better spray, because now you're spraying it directly into the surge tank that goes right into the motor. Same with meth, if you want to do meth, but you have so many options, and it doesn't get in the way, and it looks really cool. But they also give you your little caps in case you don't want to use them for anything. But it's always better just have them there than not have them, because if you ever do want to do anything, you have it. They tell you even on the package, Teflon tape or paste. That's another really good thing about any of the Needswings stuff. Almost all of it comes with detailed directions or a crap load of information. So even on the dress-up kit, on the sticker it says, driver's side long bolt, 100 mil. It literally tells you where you put the bolts and everything. And that is super effing helpful. Also, what I got with this kit is not something I'll be installing today for 1 to 2 reasons. So, everyone knows these comes with normal metal gaskets, but what Needswings has is cork gaskets for these. Now, what the whole theory between the cork one and it's been tested and all that stuff is when you start going with super high boost, the metal ones do have tend to leak a little bit. Not on all cars, but on some of the cars they tend to do that. So the cork ones are known to actually hold up so much better with boost, and you'll have no more problem. Now, the disadvantage to the cork ones that I find out is, okay, my metal ones, first of all, the metal ones are pretty easy and relatable. Like, you go to the dealership, you go to FCP, you can go anywhere to get them. Now, they last probably 10 or 20 times of removing and installing, as long as you don't roll them or bend them, which is very nice. It's metal. They're easy to come on and off. Now, if you're one of those people like me who you pull your supercharger off a lot, or you have to keep pulling your surge tanks off a lot, the cork ones aren't going to be the best idea for you because they only last about 3 or 4 removals until, like, just coming on and off and on and off, you will start wearing these away. Now, Rob from Needswings did send me a second set, so I think I have a total of 3 sets of the cork ones. But just for this testing, because what I want to do in the future, I want to put these surge tanks on and then go to the dyno and remove them and put factory ones on, just to see if there's any difference. Now, also, with these surge tanks, for me just looking at them, it looks like they have some light porting over here, so it looks like it's gasket matched, which we'll verify once I put a gasket on here. And, so they have the crossover tubes. So I don't know if you can see directly down the crossover tubes. They basically will make it so, let me see if I can get this. Bam. It connects your surge tanks. So the whole point of that, now, I actually proved this 100% in my SLK. So it'll help you lower your boost without losing horsepower. So on my SLK32, which you've seen plenty of videos on it, I drive it to the racetrack, I drive it home, it's a daily driver. It, as of right now, runs 11 O's with no nitrous, no meth, and that was when I spun in Florida hot degree weather. So my car is not slow. It's technically the fastest SLK32 in the world, not on nitrous, on a meth. If you don't count any like other power outers, I am the fastest one right now. At 11.0 at like 124 miles an hour. And remember, I drive it to the track, I drive it back. One way that helped me do that were these, because what it did was, when I had my stack pulley set up, I mean I still do, I have a 65 millimeter on my SLK and a 178 stacked. And I was running about 25 PSI of boost. Now I was having issues with that when I was running that much boost because it was getting way too hot. So when I contacted Rob said, do this. I did this and I dropped it down 4 PSI. Same exact power. Like the car didn't feel any slower. Dyno numbers were they were more power, less boost. It's like the easiest way of saying it. And now let me explain why that is such a good thing on a supercharged car like ours. If everyone knows M113s and M113Ks have a big problem with heat soaking and big problem with heating. So you'll go do a pool, you'll be really good. Your second pool, you might not have good cool time, and so on and so forth. And now you're just fighting heat because every time you go higher in heat in your air intake temperatures, it starts pulling timing. So less boost, less heat, more fun, more back-to-back-to-back-to pools. And just like my SLK, I daily drive that thing. I will drive 2-3 hours to street car takeover, race it 5, 6, 7 runs all day, drive home, go to sleep, and come right back. And knock on wood, the car runs perfectly fine. The crossovers on the M113K dropped my PSI down extremely and made it so much more safer and easy to drive. So I'm hoping it'll do the same thing with the M113K. I know there's a couple of people out there who are like, oh, that does nothing. Oh, that does nothing. I'm going to try to prove that today with data and testing. And these are pretty easy to install. Like, I mean, granted, I've done a lot of them. It's probably like a 20-minute install, if even with the proper tools, as long as you don't strip anything out. Also, these crossovers are going to add more volume. So now you have more volume that you actually can push into the supercharger, and it's more equalized this way. So there's really no disadvantage to this. except you have to buy a part and put it on. But speaking of buying a part and put it on, if you want this exact one, well, not this one's mine, you can't have it, but if you want a crossover setup or you just want to try it on your M113K, go to Needswings.com, put it in your cart, and when you're putting in your cart, if you want 10% off of M113Ks and 2K ones, so for the V6 and the V8, put Where'd You Hear About Us, put ND_72 and you'll get 10% off. So I don't know, I'm not like a rich man, I don't know if you guys are rich men, 10% off matters a lot, to me at least, saving yourself like 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 bucks. You also get a discount on a few other things on their websites for the M11 2K stuff, like their crank pulleys and their sweet intake. So also use it there. But today we're talking about these bad girls. So if you do want to purchase them, go to Needswings.com, put them in your cart, and then like spec them out however you really want. But you'll get 10% off if you put ND_72 in the Where'd You Hear About Us part. Okay, I think we're done with all the talking. Now we're going to start putting these on the car, but before we do that, I've already taken my car out and got a really good average of slamming on it and seeing temps and PSI. So right now, my SL55, what is done to it right now is primary cat delete, which I didn't do, that previous owner did, 92mm ported VRP throttle body setup, and VTEC tune. That's it. And my custom intake setup, which is a mushroom filter. That's it to the car. Now the car ran a 10.0 60-130, which is not really that bad. Remember, I'm doing all this stuff in Florida heat, blah, blah, blah. And the boost it runs is 10.9 is the average. The most I ever really seen is like 11.2, and the least I really seen is like 10.8. So average is like 10.9, right at like 11-ish. So we know what our standing boost is, and I'll even throughout this while we're doing it, I'll throw a data log on it that we literally just did on the car when we did the intercooler setup on this. So we'll actually see if these drop PSI. Now, on a higher boosted car, you're probably going to see more of a drop. Today I'm hoping if we do a pull and it does 9 PSI, perfect. Because once I start stacking pulleys on this stuff, well, I might not stack it on this, but when I start doing more mods on that, it's going to help manage the boost a lot better. Because also, you got to remember with my car, my SL55, I didn't build it, I didn't buy it, I just did what you see on the channel. But it's not a normal SL55. From my understanding, I was told the block is a NA block, high compression pistons, SL55 heads. I can't verify all that. Now, what I did verify is I have dual springs in the heads, so I'm pretty sure they are M113K heads. But for the pistons and all that stuff, I'm just going off of what I was told. So this is a high compression car. So, in that being said, I want the least boost I possibly could shove in there to be safe. So if these drop me 1, 2, 3 PSI, perfect. Also, I'm going to have to look it up, but VRP one time, this is very cool of them. I don't know if they're the ones who did it, but I just seen it on their website. They actually have a whole chart of what PSI you should be with long tube headers, with this pulley, with that. So I'll try to go off of that chart too. So if these drop me down 1 PSI, perfect. Also, they're supposed to add, I want to say 20 horsepower. We'll see that today because I'm going to put it on, we'll go for a few test drives, and eventually I'm going to take it in the dyno when I do a dyno video on this car, and I'm going to try to remember to pull off and put on. But let's start pulling this car apart and actually be able to compare side by side what they actually look as different ways. Okay, to start, you're going to take your whole intake setup off, which I just literally got one more of my pipes to do. You're going to have a factory air box. So that's pretty straightforward. So I'll take that off really quick. Okay, so once you got that stuff off, you have plenty of access to actually hit your bolts. So these are the factory ones. These are going to be T30s, not T27s. No, no, no on the 27. T30s. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So buzz all those off really quick. I'm going to use an impact because I'm not going to use this hardware again. You should just use electric ratchets. Now, if you did not get the dress-up kit and you don't have new bolts, take them out, but keep them in order. So they are different lengths. That's one length, these two are the same, those are the same, those are the same, and this rear one's different. Now also, on factory, this rear one, which is driver's side, is different than passenger rear. Okay, so just don't mix them up, just pull them out together. Okay, next, since you got all those bolts off, you're going to be coming down. Do you see this clip right here? Let's see if we get in there, right there, right there. See this top little worm gear right there? That one. You're going to go get an electric ratchet or something, and then you could just sneak it in and break it loose. See how it's loose now? And then, this whole surge tank area over here, wow, zoom out. I'll try to do it with one hand. You just pull up from the front, and then they come right effing off. See? Pretty effing easy, and then there's your metal gasket. So make sure you don't damage any of that. Okay, we got the two off. This is my factory. This is the Needswings ones. So I could clearly see there's gasket porting, because you could see this is opened up more than that. Maybe not on camera, but you could see it's opened up a little bit more. Also over here, you could see they did some porting over here, compared to like how rough. Like that's like sandpaper from the factory one. And then all the way down, this is so much more smooth. Like you could just see the shine. Let me see if I get like maybe a light. But can you see all the, maybe too much light. You see how bumpy that is in there? So that's definitely another good benefit of it. But besides that, I don't really see anything too much crazy. So I got my plug in there, pretty straightforward. You put some Teflon tape or paste. Well, let me shut my light off. And now we're going to put it back in. So doing the first one, super easy, go reverse order. I'll show you a couple tricks when you have to mate them together. But basically, you're going to put your gasket on, put your bolts through, slide that bad girl right in. So you'll normally use your factory hardware. I got all this stuff I need to unwrap. It looks like it comes with washers and everything. And directions tell you where they go. So I'll knock that out for this first one. And then we'll do the second one. I'll remove it. It's literally the exact same way. And then we'll see how they look. Okay, one thing I will recommend when you get the dress-up kit, which first of all is really nice quality. They're 5mm Allens to put them in. Separate it. Okay? So that way you kind of know where things are supposed to go. So I separate in all the different sizes I have. So me knowing it, I basically could tell, okay, one of these go on one side, one on the other, so on and so forth, or just try to match it up with your existing hardware. And then also they come with all these little washers, so make sure you put your washers on. And I think that's the only really trick I can say. Everything else is pretty straightforward. One thing I do to make sure the gaskets stay on is I put a bolt through here and a bolt like through here, through the back or something, so it's easier to guide on. But you do you. Okay, so my trick to sneak the second one on is if you see I got the first one, and man, it does look pretty with the little dress-up bolts. I have it loose, so I have everything threaded in, but it's loose a little bit so I can move the manifold around a little bit. And then I started putting on the little silicone couplers, and I already got my clamps threaded on this side. So I'm going to take this side, and I'm going to like wiggle it on, and hopefully I get it without destroying anything. Alright, so I have a few bolts in there to kind of like help hold it, and then I'm going to do the silicone coupler in the back. And then, let's see, I can't remember how I used to do this. Alright, so I go in. Alright, we got one popped. There's one, and then I should be able to push straight forward. Yep. Okay, so it does suck a little bit, but you just got to go push and push and push. And now I'm just double checking to make sure the gasket, nothing rolled. It really shouldn't because I had these bolts holding it in. So as long as they still thread, yeah, it threads by hand. We're good. Now I'm just checking down here. Make sure it kind of seated all the way in there. So just push pretty hard. You'll hear it pop. And then everything feels good. I might just for visuals try to center this up. But I'm going to start testing all my threads to make sure everything went in there. And then I'm going to look very hard. You can see almost all your gaskets. Just very, very hard look to make sure nothing rolled. Looks to be good. Now also, this is the driver's side. So per the instructions, you have to put the second longest bolt in that hole. So let's make sure we do that. That's our second longest. Put it in there. And now also with all these bolts, do not aggressively slam them in. If they're not going in by hand, like if they're not getting started, like spin them. And then see how I can't get it out, I can't pull. So that means it went in pretty easily. Because what could happen is you could be kinked off a little bit. Or you could get the bad luck where like the gasket rolled. And now you're like drilling through it. So just don't do that. So we're going to do all that stuff, clean it all up. And then get ready for the first fire up. Oh, also remember to tighten up these clamps and to tighten up back there. Okay, so also one other thing, when you're tightening them up, start inside. So you're going to go right here, the center. You're going to go bam, bam, and then cross and work your way out. And then torque these down. So when you're torquing them, this is how I torque it down. I do about, as long as you have a torque wrench that goes low enough, I do 5 foot-pounds, same procedure. Wait about 5-10 minutes, and I go to the final 10 foot-pounds. Now, some people say you could just go straight up there and do it. It doesn't matter any torque procedure, but that's just what I do. And then after a day or two of driving, I always double-check these bolts. Have they ever failed once? Yes, but I think that was just me. So I've always been so paranoid, and they're easy to access and easy to get into. So we're going to start doing our whole torquing and do all of our stuff, and then tighten up everything else and double-check it. Okay, it is all in, and wow, it looks pretty cool. Now, I don't have my intakes back on. I will put those back on, but I'm liking it. And then I will say, the little dress-up bolts, they do make it look a lot nicer than, nothing against Mercedes, but the old bolts just like, they were just gray and nothing. These kind of like shine. And since I kind of like polished, I will have to wipe this down. But it's looking pretty good. So we're going to fire it up, make sure I got no stupid leaks really quick. I should know pretty quickly if I have a big leak. Don't mind that, that's just my belt squeaking, but seems fine. If I had a huge vacuum leak, you would have heard it. But not bad. All right, let's shut this bad girl back down. Not bad at all. I'm super psyched. We will take him for a test drive, but the next thing we do have to do is the fuel pressure. Fuel pressure gauge over there? Yeah, that should be about a 15-minute job, if even. A little messy, though, so we're going to get everything all ready, and I'll show you to do that. Okay, so now we're going to start tapping in to get the fuel pressure on the rail. So Mercedes comes with this very nifty little port right here where you can hook up a normal gauge to. And that's super good, but we want something standalone so I can come over and look really quick. Now, did you see how I just fired up the car? Worst thing to do. Do not do that, because now I have all pressure in the rail. So I got a few rags here. I let it sit for another like 10 minutes. And now we're going to start mocking up everything the kit came with. So it comes with 2 fittings and a gauge. And this should be roughly all you need minus out tools. So the fittings the kit come with is right over here. And as you can see, it literally will thread right on. And it'll let you angle it almost any way you want, or if you just want it to go like angle right there, or coming right off there, you have a few options. But one thing you definitely have to do with this kit is take out the Schrader valve. So right here, you're going to go get like a little Schrader valve removing tool, which this is just an old one. And then I just want to break it loose a little bit to see if I have any more pressure. And I have the rag here so I don't dump fuel everywhere. And just wear safety glasses and everything, but just be very careful. Crack this bad girl loose. Oop. You see the fuel coming out? So we're just going to let that drain out for a while and just let it sit there until it stops. So that is the actual Schrader valve that comes out. So don't drop it just in case you want it. Just put it in a bag or keep it somewhere. And then, now these should all be MPT fittings, so you should not need any tape or any paste or anything like that. They should just literally screw on and whatever configure you want. So remember, once you get these, like, don't crank them down until you get everything where you want it. So I'm going to build this up, and then we're going to put it on. Okay, so here's kind of how I did mine. Everyone's will be a little bit different, but I'm going to get it kind of threaded on by hand and then adjust it, because you don't want to be, like, staring at the gauge like this, like this. You want to make sure everything's kind of good before you tighten it up with these type of clamps. And then we'll go to position 2 and see if we're all good with no leaks. Okay, so we got it all set up. Now, I got the rag under there. We're going to put it in position 2 just to prime it and double check, and then we'll actually fire it up, because you should get fuel pressure. So let's move our rag. All right, I don't see any drips, so we're going to put the rag up there for whatever reason. And we're at a, what is that? 65 PSI. Now let's fire it up so you have constant pressure. All right, it's gone up to 70, a little bouncy, but we should be good. So mainly we're just looking for leaks right now, because this is all we really touched. All right, so also what I'm going to do right now is get paper towels and put paper towels in that valley and kind of wrap them around there, so I know I could check it, because I get really paranoid with fuel stuff. so that way I could check it in a day and let it run for a little bit and see if we're dripping at all, so I could catch it before something bad happens. So we're gonna do it with some paper towels. You do that if you want or don't. I just do it for a precaution, just that's not something you want to really mess around with. So I got paper towels, or I see what happens. So we got the paper towel down there. So far, nothing. I'm gonna let it sit while I put the intake pipes back on and make sure my whole gauge doesn't hit any of my intake setup. And then we're gonna see what it finally looks like. But so far, I'm pretty happy with the surge tanks and the gauge. But we'll put everything back together and then go for a test drive. We'll let it warm up for a little bit. I'll do like 1 or 2 pulls and look at boost and temps and just look and see if anything crazy. Okay, we got it all together and it is looking pretty snazzy. I am liking it. So the fuel pressure gauge, I probably could have lowered it or adjusted. I might actually have to. I don't know if it's going to clear my hood. But it is all looking so clean and so cool. Another big thanks from Rob from Needswings to hooking me up with the surge tanks and the hardware and the gauge. The gauge, I'm like looking at it again. It might have to come down a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Will it hit the hood when it comes down? I don't know. It might actually be fine. Maybe. I might just lower it just for peace of mind, though. But let's go take it for a test drive. I'm going to fire up, let it warm up for like 10-15 minutes, and then go out to Mexico. Okay, so we're out in the car. We're about taking to Mexico. I got my little logger set up, so it's not a cold day out right now. So our air intake temps are at like starting at 100, which technically we're kind of looking at that, but mainly we're just caring about boost. So we're going to go up here in Mexico and then do a pool. We'll do some data logging and see how everything is. Okay, so we hit record on the logger. We'll do a nice little pool over here. Nothing too crazy here in Mexico. I don't really know how well this little stand is going to work. So if the thing goes flying, yeah, I'll show you what the log is after. Okay, so that felt really good. I don't know what the log said, but we'll do one more pull turn around, and then that'll give us kind of a good average. All right, so we made it back from the 2 pulls. Let's just check, see if anything's leaking or anything crazy. That should be good, I hope. All right, are we leaking any fuels? No? Wow, hot. Nah, looks like it's all good. Fuel bounces a little bit. Don't know if that's normal, but seems to be running good. So we've been driving my SL55 around for about 2 to 3 weeks now with the surge tanks, and oh my effing god, so amazing. So I've been doing a lot of data logging, a lot of monitoring. So the boost is consistently down, and the butt dyno of the car feels faster than it was before, and the temps are way lower. Well, not way lower, but there's a noticeable difference lower. So they definitely are doing their job. Now I'm going to show you some of the data. We'll go over it, but I am so psyched. Just remember, these are the Needswings crossover surge tanks. You can get them at needswings.com. If you do go buy to purchase them, make sure you put, where'd you hear about us? ND_72, and you get 10% off. But let's go over some of that data. Okay, so we got the first one pulled up. Let's see if we could get this going. We hit play. A little zoom. As you can see, we're about to do a pull any minute now. We're just trying to like do a nice little 20 pull, nothing too crazy. Our starting temps are 90 degrees. And you can see we shot up right under 9 and like 124 temps, but then it just literally dropped right down thanks to that single pass intercooler setup. But that is a nice difference. Now let's go check another file. All right, so then we got this pull, which was literally like turn around back to back. So now our temps are starting a little bit higher just because we're doing back-to-back pulls. Oh, hit play. There's play. So we're doing the same thing, just getting up to do a nice little 20 pull, doing like more or less the same run, but this is like a back-to-back. As you see, it shoots up to like 8.8, 8.9, 9.1. So 9.192 is the most you really see in boost now. So that is a big difference because we see over 10, 11 if I remember. Let's see if I can pull up one of my old files. Okay, so here's a file that literally was a day before we did this. So
Let's play this one. This was one when I was driving home, I think, so it was definitely a lot hotter. But look, it shot up to over 10. Look at 10 threes, 10 ones, 10 twos, and the temp is a lot higher. Granted, the starting temp is higher, but you can see the overall. This was like while I was driving home from work, so the boost definitely is a huge difference. Okay, so in showing that the day or two before that, our boost was well over 10, and now we're down. So he lost almost 2 psi of boost, basically 1 and change, and our air and chain tapes are way down. And for butt dyno on this car, feels not way faster, but it's a noticeable difference faster. So that's almost definitive that these surge tanks actually do add power and will make your car last longer. Because, yeah, adding more boost will add more power, but you want to make the same power on lower boost levels. That's the safest way to do stuff. Because when you add a lot more boost, you're going to add a lot more heat, and then you could have issues down the road with other things breaking and too high air intake temps and so on and so forth. Now, I will be doing a 60 to 130 pull on this car soon, but I just want to do 1 or 2 other little things. But we will see a big difference, and then we will be taking this car to the dyno. Remember, all this car has is VRP 92mm ported snout and throttle body, primary encapsulate, try to do that, VTEC ECU and TCU, Blood Motorsport single pass intercooler, my custom little intake, and then some eBay like heat exchanger and some other cooling mods. But for power wise, all it is ECU tune, surge tanks, and 92mm. So the car is doing pretty good just for those power mods. So I hope you guys liked the video. We got a lot more coming up with my SL55. We're going to do a few videos of just normal maintenance stuff like tune-up, fuel filter. We're going to do some motor mounts so my car doesn't shift so much, like rock while it's doing that. And I got a couple more performance parts on the way, just getting ready for them to be shipped and built. So hopefully you guys like this video. And if you guys do want any of these parts, remember, Rob from Needswings, you literally just go to needswings.com, grab it, put it in your cart, and put ND72, and you get a 10% discount on the surge tanks, because as you saw in this video, it is proven that they are lowering your boost, lowering your temps, and they make power. I will be doing a 60 to 30 pull on this car soon, and another dyno pull. Well, not another, but like a dyno pull to see what actually numbers this car has. Because if you remember, basically all the mods on this car are the VRP ported snout, VRP throttle body, VTEC tune and ECU tune, Blood Motorsports single pass, and then just some more cooling stuff, but nothing really too crazy. Oh, and if you have a SLK32 or C32 or SRT6, and you buy anything from Needswings, throw ND72 on Where'd You Hear About It. I get a discount code on the 178 crank pulley, their cool intakes, their surge tanks. So see what else might actually get you a discount on that website. But hope you guys like it. Throw a like down, subscribe, share it with your friends. Tell me any suggestions. And if you guys want to contact me to ask any questions, hit me up on Instagram. If I do not answer you right away, just resend it because I get so many messages, so on and so forth. And I've been a little sick lately, so I'm a little bit slow to respond. But catch you guys later, and thanks for watching.
Hey guys, do you have an SLK32 or an SL55 or any car with an M113K or M113K? Then I got a product especially for you guys that you're gonna like. What we got right here is Needswings modified surge tanks with crossover tubes, and they're fancy dress-up kit hardware. This unit right here will help performance and lower boost in your cars. They make them for M113s and M112Ks. Now, this product right here is what you need if you're thinking about running stacked pulleys, more boost, or almost anything. This will drop your PSI down without losing any horsepower. So you know what that means? Better air intake temperatures, more actual horsepower, and safer for your motor. They bolt right up with no modifications directly into your factory areas, allow you to actually have boost sensors back there, or run nitrous with a series of bungs. This is such a good product, and I got it on both of my cars. Now, what you might say is like, oh, that doesn't really add too much power. Well, I made a video proving it actually does. And look it, they actually make the engine bay pop, and it doesn't look too crazy. It looks almost factory. So if you're thinking about what your next performance mod should be for an M113 or an M112K motor, modified surge tanks are the way to go. Now, also, if people are still doubting their performance, I'm making a video where it's really showing how much boost drop you do with the same amount of power. And, not to toot my own horn, But me, Adam at ND72, I have basically the world's fastest SLK32 in the world, and I'm not running a crazy pulley system. I am technically the second fastest, but the first if you don't count nitrous or meth. So, that kind of says it right there. And this car, all it really has done to it is stacked pulleys, which is a 178, a 65 millimeter, long tube headers, tuning from VTEC, and a lot of Needswings parts. But these modified surge tanks were a big part of it to keep my boost down. On my motor, it dropped at 5 psi, same power. So my temps went way down. So what I think, almost every M11K should have one of these, or you go top mounts, which I did that on my E55, but it's a lot more money. So if you're talking about money, you want to purchase one of these, you go to needswings.com, and if you want to save a little bit money, I got a 10% off coupon code for you. So you go to needswings.com, put your items in your basket, and then off the surge tanks, if you put, where'd you hear about it from, put ND_72. That'll get you 10% off surge tanks for M112Ks, M113Ks, and these cool intakes and crank pulleys for the M112K, and some intakes for a C32, and the list goes on. So next time you're on Needswings.com, make sure you put anything you're purchasing, where'd you hear about us from, ND_72. You'll get 10% discounts on not all their items, but some of their items, and one of them is a modified surge tank set. So, hope you guys like it. Go make some purchases, and back to the video.
Weird.